Okay, we're here today with Steve Scorfina. And just a quick brag, your original guitar player for REO Speedwagon and Pavlov's dog for a while, jammed with Michael McDonald, St. Louis guitar player. Welcome to the show.
Well, I'm glad to be here, and I'm proud to know Mr. Jimmy Tebeau is all I can say.
It's great having you down here at the Lake of the Ozarks, here at the Damn Radio Station studio. It's good to be back in here. So we want to know some stories. Like, now, you were the original guitar player for REO Speedwagon, right?
I joined them in early 1969, and they had heard I wrote songs, and that at that point, which was over like 53 or 4 years ago or something like that, I was a pretty hot guitar player back then. Now every guitar player in the world plays so unbelievable. And they heard I wrote songs, and they were a cover band in Champaign, Illinois, and they wanted me to join the band to help them become an original band. So I moved up to Champaign and joined them. They did have a guitar player before me named Bill Fiorio, who was an excellent guitar player, but he was like more of a jazzy type guy, real technical guy. And honestly, I grew up in North St. Louis, and I knew how to play Albert King licks, Chuck Berry licks, and Ike Turner licks. That was the extent of my knowledge on the guitar. So but it worked. We were like a real hardcore rock and roll band. And when I joined the group, I had just got out of being drafted. And the only thing I cared about, what I was passionate about, of course I was passionate about music, that's number one, but was stopping the war in Vietnam. So when Irving Azoff was our manager, and he called me up and asked me if I would come up and audition for the band. Oh, this is a good story. And I told him yes, but I don't really care about what music we play as long as we do things to stop the war in Vietnam, which ultimately that is what got them the record deal. We played a bunch of Stop the War moratoriums. One was in Chicago, and there was 60,000 people there, and it was in Daley Plaza under the Picasso, and it was on ABC, NBC, CBS, and Huntley Brinkley News Report comes on. They go, this political rock band, REO Speedwagon, played across from Mayor Daley and gave him a headache today. And people don't know that because they think of them as being this pop band with all these ballads and stuff. But we were more like the MC5. We were nuts and crazy and totally rocked out.
So we're talking 1969, 1970?
1969. I played with them through 1969 to right before 1971. So 1970.
So a couple years.
Yeah, I played with them. And they were a hard-working band. I mean, that's the first time I left home, and I was 19. And so I got my education. I tell everybody I went to college because I went to Champaign, and I got my education, which I really did get a good education. Those guys played 7 nights a week, and we would play in Carbondale, then we'd play in Champaign, then we'd go over to Indiana, then we'd go up to Wisconsin. And the biggest, we'd always play, at least once a month, we'd play on Rush Street in Chicago. So, and I played with some pretty incredible bands, like the band Zephyr, which was Tommy Boland's first band. We would play at a club called Beavers and it was we'd start playing at 9 o'clock, and we would play an hour, and then Zephyr would play an hour. Then we would play an hour. Then they'd play an hour. And we'd start at 9 o'clock, and we'd get out of the club at like 6 or 7 in the morning. So that was, I had a pretty cool thing going on right then.
So at that point, there it was a lot of cover tunes and then some original songs.
When I got in the group, they were playing all cover tunes
Under the name REO
under
Speedwagon.
the name REO Speedwagon.
Wow.
And then I wrote like 3 or 4 songs, and we recorded them at a studio called Golden Voice Studio in Pekin, Illinois. And I wrote their first 45 called Gypsy Woman's Passion. And there's actually a song that never got on an album called Sweet Lucille. But it's on, YouTube and stuff. You can see it, and it's got pictures of all those wars. They're like a time capsule. It's actually on my 70th birthday, this guy sends me about 25 pictures. He was the photographer of the U of I, and he had come to all of our gigs and taken all these pictures. And like one of them, we were playing on the quadrangle at the U of I, and when we got done playing, the crowd rushed out into the town, and there was like riots and stuff, and they brought the National Guard out and put the town under curfew and stuff. So the start of REO Speedwagon is really different than what people know. It's like totally different than when they think of REO Speedwagon, they think of, I heard it from a friend who heard it from a friend who heard it from a friend. We weren't like that at all. And so there, bands have problems. There's always drama. And I knew for a fact I wouldn't survive because I have a very addictive personality. And there was all this drama going on. So I quit the group after we got a record deal. And I did call up Gary Richrath, and because I knew he would come see us play. And I knew his band Feather Train had just broken up. And I said, man, 2 weeks I'm going to be gone. And so he was there. And that was his life's work, actually. And so all I can say, I don't want to get off the subject, but about 6 months ago, I get a call from them, and they say, we want you to come back. We're playing our final concert ever after 50-something years. And it's going to be at the State Farm Center in Champaign, Illinois.
That's a big venue. That's like 8,000 people or something?
How many people do you think? 12,000 people.
12,000,
were
okay.
there.
Yeah.
And it was great. My son came up, and for some reason, there's this, the locker rooms or the dressing rooms and stuff. They gave the bands all the smaller locker rooms. For some reason, they gave me the coach's locker room. And my son came up with one of his friends that's a big sports guy, and I had the coach's locker room. And he goes, oh my God, I'm in the coach's locker room right now. But it was like magic. It was like a big love fest. It was just every person that came and all the people that were there. I mean, you might think that they might have been not too happy with me since I quit the band, but they just opened their arms, and it was a beautiful thing.
Well, they were embracing the whole history of the band.
Yeah.
Which now that I've met you and dug into it more, like even after a while, Gary Richrath quit the band, and another guy replaced him and did 20 years or whatever. Yeah, which I
David
saw
Amato.
that.
Well, you know what? I opened up for them at the Peabody in St. Louis. I was a special guest with Danny Liston from Mama's Pride, and we opened up for REO. What was it, about 6 years ago, I think it was. And it was like a month after Gary had passed away. And they introduced me. I walked on stage, and I was going to play an Allman Brothers song, Trouble No More. And I said, 1 second. And I said, I want to play some licks for my friend Gary Richrath. and I played a bunch of licks. And it was another magic moment in life that I will always remember. And so that's.
So you
But
were.
I was going to tell you,
Go
I
ahead.
met David Amato, and she was taking pictures. And so there's these pictures and it's of me and David Amato. In between us, there was all these orbs floating in between us, like Gary was in between us. I'll have to show you the pictures sometime, and you'll go, wow, that's pretty bizarre.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah, I guess towards the end, REO Speedwagon was Bruce and then Kevin
Yeah.
Cronin, and then it seemed like
the only original member that was left from when I was in the band was Neil Dowdy. And that was really cool because Neil brought his mom and dad out to see me. He was so excited about his mom and dad because they remembered me and stuff from the very beginning. And when I did play with them, the first thing I said, Neil, how's your mom and dad? And he goes, oh, man, they passed away since the last time I talked to you, which is sad. But it's part of life, And so, and the other cool thing, and I'm a legacy member. They have posters with me and Mike Murphy and the original guys. So me, Terry Luttrell, and Mike Murphy, Neil Dowdy, Alan Gratzer, Gary Richraff are on the poster, and I'm officially a legacy member.
wow.
So
Congratulations.
hopefully, if they get inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I'll get to go in with them. They've let me know that I would be, and that was
wow.
something. It's like, really? I mean, it's something I never seen coming. I mean, how can you imagine something like that after 50 years? Just
Well, it's been a long legacy.
yeah.
So the band used to do a couple hundred shows a year as a cover band in the late 60s and 70s.
They were already established as a bar cover band. We would play Bonaparte's Retreats and Merlin's and I can't think of the name of the city right now. The college town in Carbondale. That's it. You got it.
Yeah, I played
and then we come up and play the Red Lion in Champaign, and then we go up to play Beavers in Chicago, and then we go someplace in Wisconsin. Then we go to Bloomington, Indiana.
Oh, at the Bluebird, maybe? Or back there?
Where did we play? I think no, and we would in. I remember my first gig with them was in Indianapolis, and I was first time ever away from home, and it was really exciting playing with my new band and stuff.
What kind of material were you guys playing back then? The top 40 hits at the time?
To be honest,
Ike Turner?
to be honest, one of the first questions they said, well, we need to play 4 hours. Do you know any Rolling Stones songs? And I had just worked out Sympathy for the Devil. So they said, well, let's learn that. And so we would end with Sympathy for the Devil. And that always would bring the house down. The crowd would jump up and go crazy. And that's kind of the song that launched them into another place. And it was the only song I sang with them.
Oh, I was going to say, you got to sing it, though, right?
Yeah, I got to sing that one song. And and we did some Led Zeppelin songs. And boy, I was talking to Terry Luttrell about that. And I said, man, I know we played 4 hours, but I can only remember like 3 or 4 of the songs that we played. And he goes, I can't remember either. But I know we played night after night. Then we played 4-hour gigs, so we had to know more than like 10 songs or something.
A lot of gigs for years were 9 to 1, 9 to 1.
9 to 1, yeah. And
three sets, short break.
The Doors.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we did some Doors songs. And what else did we do? Well, and some other Rollins. And we did Chuck Berry songs, like Johnny Be Good, Little Queenie. Those are just the few that I remember, just.
And then people started writing songs, bringing in some originals?
Yeah, me and Terry started writing songs, and we went into that studio and did demos, and when we played those big Stop the War moratoriums, we had demos to show to the corporations and record companies that got interested in us. So it worked out good, just because we had something to show other than just the fact that people were really getting excited about us. And, I should go back to the very beginning of my career. I lived on a street in Ferguson called High Mount in Forestwood. And the guy that lived about 5 houses away from me was a guy named Michael McDonald.
Oh.
And he was in grade school, and I was in junior.
Wait, Michael McDonald, the Doobie Brothers
Of the
guy.
Doobie Brothers and his own fame.
Who's from St. Louis originally.
Probably one of the most famous singers of the 20th century, I would say. And so we started playing together. We had a band called Mike and the Majestics. He was 11 and I was 13. And all my friends are going, why are you playing with that grade school kid? And at that time in his life, you knew he was going to be one of the top singers in the world, even when he was 11 years old. And he didn't play the keyboards then. How we started was first I got together with him, and he played tenor banjo, and I played guitar. And his dad was an Irish tenor, like a vaudeville act. And his dad would play for the Mayor Cervantes, and play at all these Irish pubs, and we'd back him up, and he'd sing songs like Ain't She Sweet and Danny Boy and Ma, She's Making Eyes at Me, and Won't You Come Home, Bill Bailey. So I tell everybody I started in vaudeville, which is really the truth, and then we had a band. They were actually with us all the time, but a lot of those things I did with just Mike at the Irish pubs and stuff. And that was like 1963. So I'm really showing my age.
So your first band was with Michael McDonald?